What's cracking? Back for more. It's your boy, brother Enoch. First, I'm gonna do a disclaimer. I'm not here as an attorney. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a private attorney. I'm no member of the Bar Association. And this is not legal advice. This is not a solicitation or offer to be your private counsel. Uh, you use this information, I would ask you to do your due diligence and be cautious. About just jumping in here without doing any research. So, right now we are about to, I gotta get it cracking, y'all. We're just gonna go over a couple of things that's gonna complement my last video, and I'm just gonna bring y'all into some light of where, like, how are we getting our authority, not only from the Bill of Exchange, not only from the Federal Reserve Act, not only from the Security Exchange Act, not only from the Trust Indenture Act, the Company Investment Act. Um, we are we are deriving a lot of our authority from delegations and the rules set uh, not by the Treasury, but the Treasury was put in place to to be able to act in de jure and be able to act in acts of Congress as well. So we're going to get into where we why we're entitled to full faith and credit. So what we want to do is read the Full Faith and Credit Act. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense to do that. Just like for bills, you go to the Bill of Exchange. So we want to see what the Treasury is saying. We got Joint House Resolution 192 declaring bankruptcy. You got here House Resolution 87. Okay. And when you get into here, section one, short title, I'm just gonna be real brief because I don't have a lot of time. I don't have a subscription with the Zoom. So the short title, this act may be cited as the Full Faith and Credit Act. Section two, it says payment, payment of principal and interest on public debt and Social Security Trust Fund. If that's not prima facie evidence right there for you, I don't know what it is. This is where we get our authority to act on behalf of the principal. You understand? To pay it with the interest, pay the interest, and pay the principal with the interest. You understand? The debts and the Social Security Trust, covering everything here. In general, in the event that the debt of the United States government, as defined in Section 3101 of Title 31, United States Code, reaches the statutory limit. Now I'm gonna stop for a second. Now it says when the debt based on Title 31, positive law with money and finances, is saying that when the debt reaches the statutory limit, okay, basically reaches the statutory limit, you tell me when we're not at the statutory limit. When are not screaming and crying all over the place that we owe this debt and the debt is all the way at the statutory limit and we don't have any money because the debt clock is constantly ticking. Bull crap. Whatever. So my point is that it's always at the statutory limit since the Emergency Banking Act is going to be there. Because so the Secretary of Treasury shall, in addition to any other authority provided by law, issue obligations. Okay. So it's issuing bonds and agreements. Okay. This is where when you go to Title 12 and it talks about the banks are underneath the authority of the Treasury Department, the banks have the authority or the responsibility to borrow money, pay interest. Where does that come from? Because the Treasury Department distributed the obligation out. The bank is giving you their obligation. You understand what I'm saying? Instead of keeping their obligation, they're going to tie you to their they're going to assign their obligation to you if you don't know any better. Okay? So it says, when the statutory when the reaches the statutory limit, the Secretary of Treasury shall, in addition to any other authority provided by law, issue obligations under Chapter 31, okay, of Title 31, United States Code, to pay with legal tender and solely for the purpose of paying principal and interest on obligations of the United States described in subsection B. After the date of this enactment act, obligations described for the purposes of the subsection, obligations described in this subsection are obligations which are held by the public or held by the Old Age and Survivor Insurance Trust and Disability Insurance Fund. Okay, so you guys can go ahead and read this. I would encourage for you guys to read this. So it's telling you the Treasury, when the when the debt is at the statutory limit, to issue obligations and pay the principal and interest. Okay, all right. So that's where you get your authority to act as the agent, send your instructions, give your delegations to apply the interest to the principal, pay the principal, and distribute the interest, and pay the interest out. Okay. Now we got the Stamp Duty Act. You understand what I'm saying? I know a lot of people had success without stamp duty, but the stamp duty is congressional act and it's definitely in effect. So if you open up the book to the stamp duty, you go to 9, go to Schedule B. I'm just gonna go through this real quick. Agreement of a contract. So with an agreement of a contract, the stamp duty is 5 cents, and it tells you right there. The bank checks, drafts, orders, and payments. Okay, any sum of money exceeding $20, a 2 cent stamp. Bill of exchange, 5 cent stamp. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, 5 cent stamp. Exceeding $100, and when you see the exceeding, it says exceeding, and then it tells you the amount to what to adjust to. Okay, bill of exchange form. Okay, and then you look underneath there, you'll see that I'm dying for time here. I want to get through some of this information so I can make another video that corresponds with this for y'all. Okay, bill of landing. Okay, bonds. Okay, for indemnifying any person who uh, shall become bond or engage as surety for the payment of any sums of money. That is a 50 cent stamp. Bonds of any description other than as may be required in legal proceedings. You can go ahead and read that. Certificates of stock. You understand? This is the stamp duty, guys. This is a very small read. Conveyance of deed, contracts, broker notes, memorandums and sales of goods and merchandise. 10 cent stamp. Okay, this is where you get your authority to do your stamp duty. Okay, this is written by internal revenue agents. This is an act of Congress, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to show you why it's still applicable. It whether you use the stamp or not, I mean, evidence is still good in court. It even says it in this book that even if the stamp duty is not completed, it doesn't dismiss the fact that evidence, which if evidence is presented to the court, it says that. This book says that. Lease agreements, guys, lease agreements, memorandums, contracts for hire. Land tenements, okay? It has a stamp duty here, but you have to understand the administrative process. You just can't go stamp dutying. You guys, I'm going to get into the administrative process because people just think that they're successfully doing the administrative process while they're in the process of being defaulted. And they're getting a hold of the trust indenture and they're executing and getting the instructions to the CEO about, you don't think that the company and the dealer and the service company and the depository company is not talking to the issuing company, and you don't think they're like, you know what I'm saying? They know, oh, he's in default. You know what I'm saying? Ignore. I have somebody telling me, oh, he was being ignored. I was being ignored. I'm not doing it right. You know what I'm saying? People wait until they get in default. They're not staying in honor, let alone are they collecting their 3 green slips. It's 24 days with 5 days in between each letter with the 9 additional weekend days. It's only 24 days. By the 28th day, you should have your lawsuit filed. Don't understand that. They know you're not gonna file no federal claim. And I mean, they're sizing you guys up, beating you guys down, boy. So this is the stamp duty. You know what I'm saying? and it's clear and evident. Legal documents, writs, original processes by which any suit or in commence in any court or record. I mean, it's here. It's here for you guys. You know what I'm saying? So you guys go ahead and read that. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get to the bottom of this book real quick so I can show you something. Anyway, we're gonna move on. So with that said, so we already know that the Treasury Department said that we can go ahead and pay we're going to pay the principal and the interest. Now, when you go to the general power of attorney, which is Form 231 for individual for the collection of certain checks drawn on the United States Treasury, a fiscal document. Okay, it says now all by presence that the undersigner, your name goes there, so letting you know the Treasury Department is giving you a document letting you know that if your name go on that line and you're the undersigner, you're the person you're providing an insurance. You're the one that creating this bond. You understand? You're the underwriter of your address. Does here appoint. You put the IRS on this line here. You guys can see that right there. Okay. Now I'm gonna read this, and I'm gonna go down and read something else. Okay. This is Title 31, where the Treasury is to distribute obligations at the statutory limit and pay the principal and interest. Okay, on obligations of the United States. Okay, as his attorney. Okay, now we're appointing the IRS, so it's saying John Doe does hereby appoint the Internal Revenue Service Director, the address, okay, as his attorney to receive, because we are in receivership, endorse and collect checks payable to the order of the undersigned, drawn on the United States Treasury and executed in the name and on behalf of the undersigned, all bonds, indemnities, applications, Federal Reserve Act, Section 16, 29, 18, applications, or other documents which may be required by law or regulation to secure the issuance of substitutes for such checks exchange and to give full discharge of the same, granting to said attorney full power of substitution and revocation, hereby ratify and confirming all that said attorney or his substitute shall lawfully do or cause to be done by virtue. Come on, man. Where these gurus at? Okay. So we just gonna go to the instructions, please. It's telling you. Please read carefully. C31 CFR Part 240 for information. The Electronic Federal Registry for Positive Law Title 31 is telling you to go look at what's in the registry. Make sure you read the advisory committee amendments. Okay. 1A, in general, this general power of attorney may be used for the endorsement and collection of a check drawn on the United States Treasury and payment of the principal or interest on public debt, obligations, or obligations guaranteed by the United States tax refund and payment for goods and services. Come on, man. This general power of attorney form should be used by taxpayers and or their representatives to authorize the Internal Revenue Service to mail tax refunds, checks to anyone other than the taxpayer. C26. You understand? Come on, man. Stop playing. Y'all playing for real. I really believe that y'all playing. We about to get into some other stuff. I'm gonna bring this up. Okay. This is the power of attorney, the 2848. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you don't have to do none of this stuff, but it's good. We're going to talk about retitling accounts in my next video. We're going to talk about the 7 to 8 tax forms that you need, including the 231. I'm going to show you where to mail the 231. You understand what I'm saying? You are not an officer or anything like that. You are an employer for your taxpayer. You understand what I'm saying? You are a 24-hour trustee. You are a 24-hour beneficiary. You are a 24-hour executive.